how we got here was effectively that global demand for oil is actually back to pre-COVID levels, back to 2019 levels. Yet the global supply just has not kept up. U.S. production is still well below where it was in 2019. OPEC production is below where it was in 19. And now we're talking about reducing supply even more, taking more global supply off the market here, either long-term or short-term. And that's the net result of that is lower oil inventories and higher prices. So anything's possible probably in the short term in terms of prices rising.
What sort of price impact, though, do you see on the margin if we did stop imports from Russian oil?
Taylor, that's a good question. So Russian oil is replaceable. I think that's important to know. We do have inventories in the U.S., both oil inventories as well as refined product, gasoline, diesel inventories. So there's supply available for months, but we'd have to fix and replace that 500, 600,000 barrels a day of both gasoline and as well as oil. And so where does that come from? Well, a couple places. OPEC Plus OPEC in particular actually can still produce more. U.S. producers can produce more. But also, as you all know, there are two countries out there that can produce a lot more that currently have sanctions, the largest being Iran, right? And Iran could return a significant amount of oil back to the global market and help it balance fairly rapidly.
And we saw that effect yesterday when oil actually pulled back for the first time as we had talk of the Iranian supply. Is there a cap, therefore, on oil when we talk about the rest of the supply that's potentially there, or really do we still see a crescendoing effect until we get some clarity?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Caroline. What I would say is eventually the consumer demand will wane with high oil prices, right? I mean, I think gasoline is over $6 in some areas in the U.S. That's, obviously consumers will react and effectively potentially reduce the demand temporarily for oil globally because of the high price. So that does create a cap as well. But what is that cap? Is it 120, 130, 140? I think it's probably somewhere in that range. Longer term, there's still hope that oil prices aren't going to be this high forever. There are plenty of supply sources that will be adding to production. It just takes a little bit of time. The U.S. is the first place. The U.S. was producing 13 million barrels of oil in 2019, producing 11.5 today, maybe a little bit more than that. The U.S. can increase production. You just have to get workers back to the fields. You have to drill more wells, and then the production will follow. And that's going to take 6 to 12 months to have that happen.